Time to go live. Going on. This Hangout on Air is live. All right. Good morning. Welcome. Happy Friday.
Woohoo!
I love how that you just don't even get the countdown anymore. It's just we're live.
Hi there.
Good morning. How is you?
We are good. How is Seth today?
Much better than last week. That's for sure. Much better than last week. That was not fun nor pretty on any level.
Sorry to hear that, Seth.
So, well, you know, the truth is I did it to myself. I was, as I was saying to Joanne and Dennis before we went live, I still eat like a college student to a large extent, and I have diverticular disease, and I'm supposed to not eat certain things, and I ate way too much of one of those certain things last Thursday, and it wreaked havoc. So
Came back to remind you why you're not allowed to.
exactly, and it was a good reminder. And then, you know, all kinds of interesting things happened from there. I got the Fitbit sent to me by T-Sheets and a couple of other reminders from the universe that it's time to take better care of myself.
And so now you're doing your T-sheet hat today for them?
I was sporting my T-Sheets hat because I slept in a little this morning.
Oh, okay. Well, you can promote them a little bit since they sent you the Fitbit.
Absolutely. Plus, I think it looks good with my dress shirt.
Nice.
Very suave. Very, very suave. So, Joanne, thank you for covering for me last week.
Oh, no problem. We missed you.
Come on. It was probably a relief not to have me talking so much.
We got to talk a lot about you, though. That was the fun part.
You know, I have to go back and watch it.
Because we actually got to say a few words.
I was just going to say, that's probably why you didn't miss me.
Wait a minute.
Thank God we could actually talk.
Until Sarah started talking.
Uh-oh. Hey, where is Sarah? She's not here to defend herself.
She's not here yet.
No, it was, may not participate live.
No, it was really good. She walked through how she uses her Smartsheet for her bookkeeping engagements. So that was really neat to be able to see the inside of how she has some of her sheets set up. And then
you know how Sarah loves her Smartsheets.
She does love Smartsheets. She loves
I do.
And just like you, Joanne, love your Evernote.
Yes, I love my Evernote.
You know, I think I might even be able to take official credit for having turned Sarah onto Smartsheet. I know Doug turned me on to it.
I think it was during that hangout that she discovered, wow, the amazing things.
Yeah, because she had done a whole analysis on a whole bunch of project management. I looked, Rhonda's back with us for the first time in a hundred.
Hey, Rhonda.
Good morning.
Rhonda. So she, I think she had not included Smartsheet in that original analysis that she had done. And so when I did my very first hangout talking about it, I remember her saying, as she often will, if I cover a new project management app, she'll say something like, "Oh, I got to check my list and see if that one's on there."
That's funny.
Wow, we've got quite a crew here. Dennis, what shirt you wearing there today? Is that Mickey?
That's Mickey.
See, you were prepared for the Mickey Mouse voice, but then it didn't happen. I think she had not included Smartsheet in that original analysis. Somebody's replaying us. I think that might be Deborah.
It's Deb.
All right, perfect. So, are we ready? Are we ready to start? Look, you know what? Let me jump into something here. Actually, I'm going to share my screen. And I have to move some things around because I think if I try and share I have 3 monitors, and if I try and share the really big one, it seems to really tax the bandwidth. So I'm going to move some things around here. All right. So this is ActiveCollab, and this is a project I've created called QuickBooks Answers, which is where I keep track of all the one-on-one sessions that I do now. I've kind of migrated that over to this system here. So on here you'll see a notebook for everybody who's ever had sessions with us, at least since we started this system, and little by little I'm moving some of the older clients over into here just to keep it archived. but I love this because I love that it lets you create all these notebooks. And then from here, it's like this piece of it works just like Evernote. I can have notebooks and pages, and it's really easy to link things back and forth with it. In fact, I can link in a note in a notebook directly to a task. If you can insert a link into a page, and I'll show you a page right here in a place where I can. I'm obviously not going to show you notes from actual sections of it. But over here I have a notebook called Email Template Calendar Links. So, you know, Harold is the other guy that does the one-on-ones with me for Nerd Enterprises. And so here's my calendar link. So when I want to send somebody a link so they can schedule with me through time trade, those are all here depending on what the duration of the appointment's going to be. And then over here I've got, you know, we also have School of Bookkeeping enrolled students who are able to take advantage of one-on-ones with me. We've deprecated those plans at this point, but for the ones who are still on it, the sort of legacy ones, you know, I have a separate meeting room set up. So here's the language I just copy and paste into an email. It's just little things like this that make it nice and easy and quick. You know, I can just drop this into an email and send it off. So this makes it nice and easy to keep track of information, just like Evernote does.
Can I ask you what program this is?
This is ActiveCollab.
ActiveCollab. Okay, thanks. Sorry.
Yep, no, that's okay. So now the other thing I do is, and this is a powerful tip, I think, especially when you're using any SaaS software like this, you know, in other words, software that's running in the browser. You know, I frequently use this this little trick in terms of right-clicking things and opening in a new tab. So if I open my task center, because notice across the top here, I've got, this is kind of the home page for this particular project. If I'm using milestones in a project, I can get an outline that shows me milestones and then tasks within that and so on. And then tasks, and then here's discussions. So if I have other people collaborating with me, I can have discussions here, and when those discussions are finished, we just archive them. So they're always there if I need to access any information that was used. Then, so if I right-click tasks and open it in a new tab, what this will give me is the tasks. And the way I've got this set up, again, for this particular purpose is, you know, if somebody goes online and they schedule a session with Harold, Harold will come in and he'll create the task in here. So he and I are collaborating in here, which is perfect because then I know, for example, I see a payment come in because somebody signed up for a session, and then Harold will actually schedule it, and I'll get notified because we're collaborating here in the same space. I'll get notified that, oh, that person's scheduled with Harold. So now I don't have to worry that somebody paid for a session and didn't schedule or didn't know how to schedule, that sort of thing. So, and then I have the payment, so I can make sure that when somebody has had a session scheduled, that they have in fact paid. And so those are set up as tasks, and once their sessions are completed, I just complete the task. So then going down here, I have my upcoming sessions, and here are School of Bookkeeping upcoming sessions, and so on. So I create the task, and this has, you know, the notes that people kind of give me when they're signing up for the session. And then once the session's completed, again, I go back into the notebooks. But let's say I wanted to link in the note to one of these tasks, right? So I'll just pick on Melissa Burton because she's one of our students and she's got a task. So let's say that I have a notebook. Let's go create a new page for a minute. And let's say this is a Melissa session. For today is 2016-01, 2015-01-16. I'm so confused with dates now. So if I want to link to a task, what I can do is I click the little link option here, and it's linked to item. If I want to link to a web page somewhere else, then it's an external link, right? So link to item. And if I start typing Melissa, look what it does. It notices that there are things in here that have to do with Melissa. So I have tasks, forward 1 hour session. So because there are several, before I do this, what I may need to do is I'll cancel this for a minute, or we'll create the page. And then what I might need to do is put something more distinguishing about this task and say, like, this is the session for Wednesday, January 28th, right in the title, so it's very clear. Then I go back here to my sample page here. Start typing Melissa, and there's the January 28th task, right? That way it becomes a little more clear exactly what I'm trying to link to. when I click to insert that and save the changes, now on the left are all my notes that are in the notebook, and over here is kind of the path, so I can see exactly where I am. Right, I'm in Home, QuickBooks Answers, then Notebooks, then Email Templates and Calendar Links is the notebook I'm in, and then here's a notebook, a page called Melissa Session 2015-01-16, and then it's letting me know I'm presently looking at the latest version. Notice it keeps track of different versions as I make changes, so I can get back easily to other versions. Evernote has something very similar, where you can look at the note history. So if I do this, then I can click on here, and it will actually open me right up into that task, just like any hyperlink. And if I back up on my browser, there's one other thing I can do that I sort of skipped over real quick. But if while I'm editing the note, I click on here, I can edit the link, and notice I can check off this option that says Open Link in a New Window. That way it'll open it up in a new tab, so I can retain this page being open while opening up the task that I've linked to in a new tab. This way, again, I can easily keep my place. So I like doing things that way, as you can see, taking advantage of multi-tab browsing here. So now that I've made that change, if I click on this, boom, it pops it open in a new tab. So this is I'm just giving you one very, very specific, use case for ActiveCollab. But again, to me, really powerful project management software here. If I click on the little pencil rule over here, I get my list of all my projects. If I click up here on projects, I get the same kind of view in a different format, and I've got the projects organized by category. So you categorize your projects. Over here, you're choosing if you want to see active and completed or active only. So I can change it to active only. So here's where I've started to use this to keep track of content that I'm writing. Although in the end I've kind of gone back to Evernote with that. And that's the funny thing about playing with these different applications is you start testing it out just to see what does it work for. Does it work well for this purpose? Does it work well for that? And most of my processes along these lines have historically been kept in Evernote. And then what I'll do is I'll try an app like this and I'll play with it and I'll just kind of I don't necessarily make a very conscious decision about it. It's more about, well, I find I get friction, right? Friction refers to when I have to stop and think too much about how to do something or where to go to do it. Then, and if that happens, then it means I didn't solve a problem. I created a new one possibly, which means I'm going back to Evernote, or if my previous solution worked real well and I was just doing this to test out a possible new one. Then I move back to the old way, so to speak. So again, but I like this because of how organized it is. I like this because I can create my projects and I can put them in different categories, and this, like Evernote, has really powerful search. And one thing they do when you start with ActiveCollab is they create this project for you called Getting Started, and it gives you a list of tasks aimed at teaching you how to do the different things that there are to do in this software. So I love this, and I love how you can lay out tasks. I'll give you, let's go to custom course development. Let's go to the Expensify course that I'm almost finished developing on. And if I go here to the outline, this will be a good example of what I was talking about earlier, where I have the different milestones, and within that the different tasks, so I can see where I'm at. And if I go to the actual milestones tab, I can see in a Gantt chart-like view, where I'm at and how far along I am. And then if I go into my tasks, I can actually organize them by milestone, because that's the way I've sort of set this up. And then you can see I've got my section on the mobile app, my section on the desktop app, the submission and approval process, setting policies, QBO versus QB desktop, and then a couple that I haven't assigned to a milestone that just have to do with administrative type stuff. So then I can go into any one lesson, and I can see, if you look carefully near the bottom here, you can see the ones I've checked off. The video's been recorded, the content's been written. So these are the tasks that remain. And these are subtasks within the major task of Section 1, Lesson 1, Smart Scan. So, and you can see who they've been assigned to. So again, really nice and different ways to lay it out. I can group this by all these different criteria, or I could choose not to group it, or by category, by label, by assignee, by delegate. Delegate means it was assigned to me first, and then I delegated it to somebody else by simply changing the assignee. And there's an option here which I've set, which enables you to create multiple. You can assign a task to several people if there are several people that have to work on the same task. So, any questions so far?
The silence, I guess, means no, right?
Well, everybody's muted, so I figured everybody needs a second to unmute if they do have a question. But no, that's good. All right, so let's go back and go to my notebooks here. Now, again, up here in the search, I'm going to type Melissa because I want to get to that page I created, and I want to get there quickly, right? So that's the task that I changed. But here's the page. So you can see what kind of thing you're looking at. If you look on the left, below the one I have selected, it's easy enough to read. You can see page there, and that's Melissa's section. So I don't have to sit there browsing through all these notebooks. I can come right here, and then options, move to trash. So that's a few minutes on ActiveCollab. Now, you guys have been looking at Asana. Joanne, did you guys look at Asana last week?
No, we did not.
Okay.
No, we were buried in Smartsheet.
Smartsheets and what did Dennis present on?
Workflow Max?
Workflow, yeah.
All right. So let's go into Asana again. Mariette, do you want to chime in on this one? I know you've been playing with it a lot. Maybe not. Maybe so.
What are the price comparisons between Asana?
Can't hear you.
Yeah, well, she's muted again, but we couldn't hear her when she was unmuted.
Okay. So ActiveCollab, it's a good question, actually. Let me go back to that for a minute, because I'll show you the pricing. Administration. I want to say it's here. Yeah, so I'm on their medium plan, and if I go to change it, you'll see all the different plans. So, and as you can see, the different plans have to do with, all the plans give you an infinite number of clients. You can add all the clients you want, and clients can be there, they can collaborate, they can update, change, add things. You can, set controls in terms of what they can or can't do. Notice it allows me up to 15 team members. Team members are people that I assign with a different level of access who are actually, members of my team. They're partners or managers or whatever they are. I can show you the different kinds of people you can add to a project. So then the limitations start coming in terms of the number of team members. So on my medium plan, I can have up to 15.
Can you hear me now?
30. The mega plan, you can have an infinite number of team members. And then, of course,
How many clients?
on the medium plan, can you see my screen?
Yeah, clients are 0 or 8. So
It's infinity.
No, you can have an infinite number of clients. This is infinite
cool,
across
cool,
all
okay.
plans. The
looks
team
like
members,
zeros.
I'm limited to 15 on the medium plan, and 30, and then 60, and then on the mega plan, it's infinite in terms of the number of team members. In the storage space, in the storage space, you don't use much storage here. I mean, you can store files and documents in these projects, but I tend, well, it depends on the project. In some cases, I am using that area quite a bit, actually.
Hello? Hello?
So, the storage space ranges from 5 gigabytes on a free plan on their small to all the way up to 500 gigabytes on the mega plan. And I'm sure if you found you started getting close to that limit, you could probably ask them to increase it. I'm sure they'd be happy to take your money in exchange for that. And then, so here's the pricing. So I'm paying $49 a month right now. So, and one of the ways that I use this is, as you probably know or may know from previous Hangouts that we've done, is I have a service that I offer on my training site called the CFO package, and that's where people essentially go in and purchase 20 hours of my time, and that's where they get me at the lowest possible hourly rate. So when somebody spends that kind of money on a it's really at that point I almost consider it a consulting package, even though it's put under the training camp. What I do is I actually create a project for that client in ActiveCollab here, and because of how much they're paying me for a plan like that, one client like that, more than pays for the medium plan several times over. So, for me, one client pays for this for a year easily. And then of course you save a little money by paying for a year up front, and you can, over here you choose if you want to pay monthly or yearly. And as you can see here, it says I've used 175 megabytes out of 15 gigabytes total. So it's going to be a while before you hit those limits. But if you end up using this, it's a great way to collaborate with clients, because it's, and it's similar to Smartsheet. When a change is made, it's configured so that they get an email. They get notified about that change. Any other questions? So let's go to people, and I'll show you the different kind of levels that you can add. So let's pick on Stacy. Okay, so let's go to company and role. So I have her assigned as Nerd Enterprises, Inc., just because I didn't add her own company into this. But here are the different roles. I can have her be an administrator. Anything other than client is going to use up one of your, sort of paid users. So I have administrators, and they have access to the whole systems control panel. They can pretty much do everything I can do. Then there's a manager, and if I check off that, I can choose, what they have permissions to do. A member or employee, again, I can choose what they have permissions to do. A subcontractor. So they kind of have all the bases covered here as far as who I might want to bring in on a project. And then clients, like you saw in the different setups, you can have an infinite number of clients. And the truth is, even as a client, you can, in my experience so far, I can give them permission to pretty much everything I need them to be able to do. So far, I haven't run into any limitations there yet. On the home feed of this, it's cool because it gives you, and you can configure this, and then there's a reporting area that you can set up that also shows up here, which I'll show you in a minute. But notice here it shows me the recent activities. It shows that I moved that page to the trash. It shows that I created a new version. It lets me know who's been online within the last 15 minutes. So if anybody's been online, and I can click, and it's cool because you can pivot around people and just go to a person and see what company they're with and see what projects they or that company have assigned to them. And then over here I've got this section which, as you can see, I've customized to say I've got a lot going on, I'm really important. And these are just different tasks and things that I'm meant to have completed by now. And over here I've got, this is a tab where I've created a custom report. I've called it What I'm Working On. And it's going to, here's all the criteria that I can set. So, for example, the due date, I like to say either later today. So it's either already due or it's due today. And then open, not completed, and then if I click run, it gives me this note page-like layout of all the different tasks that, in theory, I was meant to have completed by now and haven't. And notice here I've got voicemails even. So these come into a project that I've created called Leads or something like, or Prospects. So this is something I was doing in Evernote that I'm doing in here now, where I get my voicemails emailed to me, I forward them into here, and I've now enlisted the help of a virtual assistant who is collaborating with me. I've added her into this project, so when I get a new voicemail, I put it in here, I assign the task to her, and she'll listen to the voicemail. The MP3 is right here. She'll listen to it, call them back, find out what they need, and she knows how to explain to them how a lot of my services work. So it gets me out of that. I don't have to sit there fielding phone calls as much anymore, because 9 times out of 10 in my case, she can call them back and say, here, go onto the QuickBooks Answers site and sign up for a session there. And that's probably 90% of the calls I get is how they need to be handled. So it's now it's really helping me deal with that. So Deborah's asking in the chat, how do I get my voicemail on MP3? There are many virtual receptionist phone service type applications out there. The one I use is actually called If by Phone. And there's Google Voice too, but this is much more sophisticated than Google Voice. what this allows you to do is create a virtual receptionist, and you can set up all the routing. So you can say when somebody calls my 866 number, they go here first. So I can have, or they can be presented with options. And so, when they're presented with the options, they can choose one for me, and then I can say, okay, if somebody's chosen to reach me, try my cell phone first, try my office line second, give each one 20 seconds. If I don't answer, move on to the next one, and so on. So for some reason, the page is taking a lot of load. But it's called If by Phone. Google Voice doesn't give you quite as many options. Google Voice, unless it's changed since the last time I looked, it'll just ring all your phones at once. So you can list 2 different numbers, and it'll ring them both at the same time. And this way, whichever one you happen to be able to answer, you can. So this is a little more sophisticated today, compared with that. And it also gives you very detailed information about when calls come in and how much time you spend on the phone with them, so you can use it as a marketing tool and get a sense of who you spoke to, how much time you spent, and so on and so forth. And there's some other tools. I'll come back to this. I don't know why it's taking so long to load. Maybe if I close some of these other tabs out. Let's try stopping it. Oh, here it goes. No, it's ifbyphone.com. And it's a great service. It was running me about $35 a month at first, and as time has gone on and my call volume has increased, it's gotten up to about $50 a month for this, for me. So it just depends on, you pay by the minute. The other thing I've done with this is on my old blog, actually. Where am I? My sites. This is just kind of fun. Fun little segue here. So with It by Phone, you can add something to your website called Click to Call. And what I did was I took an image of an old-fashioned telephone. There it is. So people can click on that, and it gives them this little keypad. And basically, they enter their phone number here, and they click to call. What that'll do is it'll trigger my If by Phone system to call them, and then once they answer, it will ring back to my 866 line as if they had picked up the phone and just called my 866 number. The other thing it does is it gets what's called a whisper from them, so that when they call, it'll say, hang on, I'm going to try and locate Seth, but while we're trying to reach him, can you let us know who's calling? And it records your voice saying, hey, it's Dennis, or hey, it's Deborah. And that way, when it rings through to me, it comes through on my cell phone, but the person calling doesn't know that I've picked up yet, and it'll say, you've got a call from Dennis. Would you like to accept the call? And if I say no, it'll just put you into voicemail. And you'll never know that I actually picked up the phone, but it's great for call screening, so they, for productivity, so they can't be disturbed. And sometimes there are certain people, let's face it, that I will always take the call from. Most people, not necessarily the case, but certain people, for example, if it's my wife calling, no matter what I'm doing, if she calls, I'm going to stop what I'm doing and take the call. So, it gives you the opportunity to screen calls without offending anyone, so to speak. So, If by Phone is a service I've used for a long time.
Marietta, are you back? Can you speak?
It looks like you're speaking, but we can't actually hear you. Okay, so let's go back to Asana for a minute. And we figured out the first time I looked at this, and I had never really looked at it before, as I often like to do on screen. It took me a minute to figure out where to go to create new projects, but it's here, and it's kind of faint and gray, and it's in the context of each sort of team that you create. So you have teams, and then within each team you create projects, and then within each project you can create tasks. So I think I saw this week in Apple that now we can.
Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I'm so frustrated. Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm sorry. Keep going.
Okay, so we can create apparently recurring tasks in Asana. So let's create a new task here, and let's see if Seth can figure out how to do it on the first try. So I would assume I'd need a due date first. So assuming it's due next week.
Seth, if you want me to chime in, just let me know, because I've been working on this for, yeah.
Yeah, no, first I want to see how easy it is to figure out.
Okay.
So if I go to a calendar view, here's my task again. All right. So this is clearly how we create subtasks and probably dependencies. I can tag it, add attachments. I can share my support for the task. That's actually kind of funny. That's for follows. All right, Mariette, help me out here. How do I make this recurring?
Okay, so this is the way you would start, actually. Can I share my screen or no?
Yeah, go ahead and share your screen. You know how to do it?
No.
On your left, move your mouse over the Hangout screen on your left, and you'll see a little pop-out window that looks like a little monitor with an upward curving right-pointing arrow.
Okay, let me try, because Google Plus changed all my settings, and that's why you couldn't hear me. So let's see here. Okay, to my left, the little green arrow, screen share. I can share one of my screens, so let me actually take off stuff off of that screen. Let me know when I'm sharing. And then I guess.
And when you do at the top, you'll see a little pop-in that says present to everyone. So click on that, because this way on the recording it won't include our thumbnail, so we can see your whole thing.
I see you are screen sharing, and then when do I do share to everyone?
Okay. No, then you're good. Yeah, share to everyone.
No, I don't see share to everyone. I just see you're sharing.
Okay, then you might be good. So yeah, go ahead and pull that off and bring up Asana.
Can you see me?
I can see your desktop. Yep.
Okay, perfect. Okay, good. All right. Can you see Asana?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so basically, yeah, I wouldn't say that it's intuitive in regards to just trying to figure it out like in 2 minutes. So I do suggest you do watch that little, on the very bottom of your screen there was, learn the basics. It's like a 3-minute video, and literally it teaches you the basics in 3 minutes. But this is the basics in 30 seconds, okay? So essentially, you were right. To start a project, it's right here where it says get started with your project. And so you literally just start here. So let's call this, Friday Hangouts. And then when you start a project, they actually give you templates, which is really cool. So depending on how you want to have your first project, you can do it like in a list format. It can be an agenda. It can be like a roadmap on the different steps and different milestones. So you can kind of look at the template. It can be a calendar, and you can create a calendar on your tasks that have to be due at a certain time, and that's when you would go to due dates. But I always start with the blank project. And then I say create, and essentially what it does, it creates the project right here on the left. And then after that, what you do is you look at your screen usually in 3 panels. So on the left, you have your menu bar with your projects. In the middle, you essentially have all of your projects, and on the right, you have your tasks related to that project. So for instance, right here where it says add the first task here, you just add it. So today's call with the Apple team, right? And so then on 1/5/116. So my first task today is to have a call with you. And so if I want to have team members, which is really cool, I can actually add team members to this. So for instance, right now I have actually I have only 1 team member. So I can add myself as a team member. But if I actually create a team, so I'm going to quickly show you my actual businesses, Asana, the MarriettMartinez.com. And so when I see that one, I'm going to go quickly because I have client names in here, but you see basically all of my projects on the left, and you can actually see it based on my project. So I have like a to-do project was what I want to do today, and then these are the 2 team members, Esmeralda and Mariette. I have my tax season project, I have my year-end tax accounting projects, I have my bookkeeping projects, and so you can basically create your projects here, and then you have your team members right here. And so what you can do is you can add your team members to different tasks, which is really cool. So I'm going to take you back to my personal project so you don't see my company stuff. So if I actually had a specific team member that I wanted to have them join the call, I would just come over here into the actual task, and I would add them to the actual task. I could also add them over here to the task. I could start writing their name down, and if they were on my team, their name would come right back up. The other really cool thing is that as soon as I add them to the task, they get an email saying, Mary just added you to the task, and then I can actually create a due date to this task, which is today, which says, Mariette just added you to a task today, and then they're going to get an email that says that, which is really cool. And so now at this point, I actually have my task, and so now I actually start commenting on my task. So for instance, you know, notes from today's call, and then basically I can add all my notes here, and then once I'm done, I comment on it, and now it basically creates a history of everything that is related to that task. So, so a better example would be, let's say, again, let's go back to my company. And let me kind of give you like a nice project, like my hot leads. Okay, so I have a hot leads project. I section out my hot leads by the kind of hot leads I have. So I have some QuickBooks hot leads, some small business consulting, personal taxes, business taxes, bookkeeping, and payroll. So these are just my leads from this week. Okay, and so the way I actually get those sections is basically once I'm in a project, as long as I want to separate it in sections, it's literally this easy. All I have to do is create a new task. When I create it, instead of when I actually create it, let's say I want to call it a hot leads task, where I want to keep track of all my hot leads, I just put a colon after it, and that actually creates a section. And so now I actually can section all of my tasks. So between, you know, amongst what you want to do, and then so this essentially becomes a subtask. So let's say my first hot lead is, you know, connecting with SOB team. So that's my subtask of hot leads, and then under that I create even more subtasks. So this is where you were right here. So you know, wrote an awesome review for SOB who I love, right? So this is my way of connecting with SOBs. So essentially I create a project. Under the project, I create a task. Under the task, I create a subtask. And then I basically can keep historical transactions and basically everything that has related to do with that project, that task, that subtask, right all in one window. So again, you really are viewing the whole panel at the same time. That's the best way to do it. That's just the basics, but I'm not going to go too much into all of the really cool tools. But one of my most favorite tools of all time, okay, that I absolutely love is this. So if I come over here and I create a new email, and actually email Asana, and I could say, add this to my SOB task. I can send it to myself as long as it has my email address on here, because basically every Asana profile is connected to your email address. I can send it to myself, and I'm a big sending myself emails to remember tasks, and so my emails are like over 300 per inbox, which is ridiculous. Well, guess what? In this year, I think I've cut that by half. And the reason why is because now I actually come back to my tasks.
And by the way, let me just interrupt you for a second, Mariette. Every one of these project management apps that we're looking at has this feature.
I love that.
ActiveCollab does it, Smartsheet does it. Every one of them gives you the ability to email. You know, Evernote gives you the ability to email something into the application to set it up as a new task. So I just
That's awesome. That's awesome because, yeah, I'm trying to clear out my emails. Like, all of these are all emails from, like, the last couple days that now I'm moving to a task. And so here's my task right here, and then basically all I do at this point is I just connect it to the project I want to connect it to, and then to the subtask I want to connect it to, and then basically it turns into a subtask of the task that I created. So once I move it, it basically will come under my connecting with SOB, and it'll be its own subtask. And another cool thing is, and I'm sure the other project managements do it too, is that if you actually have an attachment connected to that email, the attachment will come in as well, which is really cool. So it'll look like this. I'll give you an example of one that did that. So for instance, let's see, just really quickly, let's say payroll, and then let's give an example of a payroll. Okay, so see this one right here? See how it says 226 PDF? So essentially it came in with the attachment. The email came in with the attachment, which is really cool. And so like for instance for my payroll clients that they just essentially send me their payroll report and they want me to go ahead and post the payroll for them, then I just email myself the actual email. It goes right into my Asana, and now I actually have the PDF copy of their summary, which I can go ahead and post back into their QuickBooks once I get to their payroll. And so that's how it works.
Awesome, thank you. So wait, did I miss it? Did you show us how to do a recurring task?
You know what? I haven't done one yet. I'm just trying to catch up. I haven't done a recurring task yet.
Okay.
So I'll have to play around with that one, though.
All right, no worries. I thought you knew how to do it, so I was, that's because I thought I saw that you said in ABO this week that you could do it. So I was hoping to see how, but it wasn't obvious to me, at least when I was starting out going into the task. And by the way, let me go back to sharing my screen.
Yep.
So you guys can see this. You might have noticed that Mariette had hers nicely customized. And so while she was talking, I got busy and I customized mine too. So if you want to see how to do that, you go into your settings. So you see where I have my name, account settings, and then themes. So I did the spooky theme.
And right there on the bottom where it says successful teams start out with these steps, honestly, that's all I did was watch those 3 videos. And that's all I needed to do to train myself on Asana, right there on 1, 2, 3, where you're at right now. So it's really straightforward.
And then here's the instruction for using email. So, and yeah, if I go back to ActiveCollab, on any project, like if I go to this QuickBooks Answers project, see here, it gives you the specific email address for that project. So like with ActiveCollab, every new project I create gets its own unique email address. And then I can forward emails, and depending on what I want that email to become, if I don't do anything and just forward it, it will become a file in here. If I edit the subject and just put task in the beginning of the subject, it will come in as a task. And there's a few others that when you look at the settings, it shows you, they explain to you, how to, here you click Learn More. So if I want to email a task, I put task in there. If I want it to be a discussion, I put discussion in the subject. If I want to email a file, I put files, and then there's a default. So if I just forward messages without changing anything, it's going to show up as a document. So, and Trello does the same thing. We looked at Trello. With Trello, each board that you do, again, has its own unique email. So on Trello, and as you can see, I play around a lot with this stuff. So here's where I was playing around with using Trello to create content. But in my sidebar here, I go into my menu and email to board settings. So with Trello, there's my unique email address. And over here, I can control, when I do forward an email into Trello, which list will it go to? And do I want it to be at the very bottom in the list, or do I want it to be at the very top? Right, so I can choose top or bottom there. So Trello does that too. I like how Trello kind of handles it. And it's cool watching it happen in Trello, because if you have Trello open, you forward the email, you can actually see it in real time kind of loading into Trello. It's fun. So now, let's take a look for a minute at Smartsheet. Smartsheet is mine and Sarah's favorite. So Sarah, I know you showed everybody a lot of stuff on Smartsheet last week, so let me know if I'm rehashing some of the same stuff, but I want to show you some of the ways that I've been using it.
Did you watch the video?
I unfortunately have not had time, no.
Aw.
So bear with me, I'm bringing it up. I love the workspaces in Smartsheet because I create a workspace for each client that I need to sort of have projects going on with. And then of course what I've done is for the Smartsheet course that we've got upcoming, I've begun to create a Smartsheet project, of course. So, Sarah, do you know if there's a way to get rid of this left-hand thing?
Yeah.
To make it, I can resize it.
There isn't a little, huh?
I guess you can't get rid of it completely, but you can.
I was thinking, yeah, I remember collapsing my workspaces and all that because I didn't want anybody to see them. But
Right.
I have so many programs. I'm surprised there isn't a little hidden gray. Ooh.
All right, so here's let me just see something here.
And Seth, I figured out how to do the recurring when you want me to show you, or want me to just explain to you real quick when you're done.
Okay. All right, we'll come back to that. So let's go to, I think I have it here, accounting engagement sample. So what I've done with this, for example, is I kind of started out with the high-level tasks that need to get completed for a client, right? So I have the bank account, which is, of course, your monthly reconciliation, the credit card accounts, same thing. And then I have payroll. And then, I might have quarterlies and other things that I can add in at a high level. So looking at bank accounts, what I've got, and you're going to see this, you're going to see me setting all this up in the Smartsheet course that's coming up. But then I have, let's say, bank account 1 might be, Bank of America 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I have the year 2015, and within that each month, right? And what I've got here is then I can assign it to somebody. So I can assign this to, one of the team members. I can assign it to myself. I can set the due date. I want the account reconciled by the 8th of the month, whatever that is. And the idea of request completed is for the client to provide me with the statements, right? So I need to make sure they provide me with the statements. Obviously, if the client's giving me the ability to go in and get them myself, then I don't need this. So that's where you're going to customize this based specifically on what you need. And then, of course, when the reconciliation is complete, we click on task completed and notice what it does. It reformats the whole row based on conditional formatting that I've set up. So, and also this is set up with alerts, or can be. So I got to save my changes before I can set the alerts up. So I save it, and I can say on the alerts, send, by default just me, but I can send it to all shared users an email once a day, or I can do it right away or every hour or once a week when anything changes. And for that matter, I can choose send an email only when a certain thing changes, only let them know when the request has been completed, or only let them know when the task completed has been checked off, right? So this will create that notification. So once a day, everybody who's in this project now will get an email anytime somebody marks the task as being completed. So everybody will be notified that, that it's, what do you call it? Everybody will be notified that the task has been completed at the appropriate time. I'm going to delete that notification. So, Dennis makes a comment in the chat. It is really easy to get enamored with these programs. The idea here is I don't expect people to go in and start using all these programs. I hope you don't. The idea is to look at these different programs and decide which one's going to work best for you and your situation. Because there's no right or wrong answer on these. It really depends on what's important to you, what features are important, and how well that application handles those features that are important to you. And that's really what it boils down to. And in a lot of cases, it could be 6 of one, half a dozen of another. One of the things I love about Smartsheets is it's so customizable. Because you have basically like a blank spreadsheet. It's like having a blank canvas, and you can set it up however, any way you want to. And I like the fact that it's got spreadsheet capabilities built in, so where appropriate, I can build in formulas. Where did Joanne go? We lost Joanne?
Yeah. Like Seth, on the sheet that you're looking at, your idea was to take everything that you do per month and stack them, like bank accounts, credit cards, and all that. I took the exact same concept, but I stacked the months because I'm working on 1 month at a time, and then I like to know that the month is done. So I'll do month 1. I need the bank account. I need to have I reconcile the credit cards. and I do all those in lists, and then I copy and paste that whole list of things. Instead of it doesn't have like a reoccurring idea, but all I have to do is cut and paste the list for the next month, and it's reoccurred. So, and then every month we tend to, I wish this was on my list, so I'll add something on the list, and then when I copy and paste, it's there for the next month. So, but what's cool is to look at the concept and then figure out how you like to work.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. See, I like this because I like to see each of the tasks at kind of a high level, and then I like checking off each month, and I like that the client gets notified when we've reconciled the accounts, and the client gets notified, when the payroll's been run. So the payroll now is not going to be monthly. The payroll is going to be, like I use the example here that I pay twice a month. So I have the 15th payroll and the 31st, or the last day of the month payroll that has to get run.
Can I ask a question about this?
Yeah.
Can you hear me? Is this document I'm looking at, is that for the client, or do you have one of these for the whole firm?
No, well, this is both. So this is a project that I would this is a sample, of course, but this is a project that I would create as a Nerd Enterprises project, and then I'd add the client in as a collaborator so that they can participate and be notified when tasks are completed. And, for example, let's say the 15th is coming up, and I need the information from the client about, how much payroll to pay if they have part-time employees, what have you. I can click here where it says Update Request, and I can tell it to send an update to Eric, and I can customize the language, and I would have it say, please provide me with the hours for this week's payroll.
Okay, so
right?
this sheet is for one specific client, because I do like 40 payrolls. I mean.
Right, so this would be for one specific client, and then what I would do is probably you can create a template out of it and then duplicate it into each client's project. So, but it's a tracking mechanism so that you can keep track of whose payroll has been done and when it's been completed to make sure that it does get completed.
What I did was I made a workspace for every client, and I might have multiple sheets on their workspace, one being normal accounting, but then for payroll they may have a sheet where they actually give me the hours. And you can schedule it so it automatically reminds them. And
and now, Deborah, if your concern is you don't want to have to create 40 of these, then what you might do is create a project that's just internal. It's not meant to have the client involved, where you have all your payroll clients, and then have it a checklist kind of to make sure that each client's payroll gets done that month. And if there's an employee of yours who is responsible, then you assign the task to them and make sure that they get a notification that says, hey, make sure that client XYZ's payroll is done.
I mean, it's for the client. I'm concerned that, I have 40 of these sheets. What if I miss number 38 because I don't see an overall?
Well, that's what I just said.
Yeah, you can write reports.
A project where it's not 40 of these, where you have one project that has all 40 clients in that project that's only meant to use internally, and that way you have that checklist so that you can make sure that each one of those clients gets done. And you might have it both ways.
Can you link this sheet? So if you have a specific client that's doing the 15th, can you make a master list that when you click that's done on the 15th for, ABC Liquor?
Yes, you can.
Updates to the
it has almost all the same features of a spreadsheet. So I can set one cell in one project equal to another cell in another project. So absolutely, so that if you have the individual ones for each client, you can have the master that's not shared with the client that kind of hooks into the clients, so that when it's updated on the client side, it updates on your master. Absolutely.
Oh, good. That's good. Now, as far as the users, how do you pay for this? I have you pay for each staff member that.
No, it's whoever owns the account can make new sheets, and everybody else is free.
Okay, so like I can be one of these single user people for $14 a month, and my staff is part of that deal. They don't.
Well, I bought the team version, so I think I'm paying
$39.
See, I'm paying $576 annually.
Woo!
And so that gives me 4 licensed users, 60 gigabytes of file storage.
And those 4 users then can make their own sheets? Is that what the licenses do?
Yeah, because you only get so many sheets.
You can have all the people you want without affecting the 4 users. What uses up a user is if I want to use the there's a certain kind of tracking that you can do where I can assign tasks and I can use the resource management part of Smartsheet. If I want to use the resource management part of Smartsheet, then I have to use up those users. I haven't found the need to. But that's the only time I use. So I have a lot of users in these projects that don't impact the 4 that I'm allowed. So kind of like I was showing with ActiveCollab, I can add all the clients I want to this without incurring any additional cost. And same with team members. It's just if I want to have team members where I'm using the resource management part, which will show me this user has these tasks and this workload, and it's all due here, here, and here, so that I can make sure I'm not overloading people, and for that matter, see who has time available to give them tasks. If I want to use it that way, then I have to start using up those users.
Does this all become like, it's all Greek to me right now. I mean, when you start using it, it starts making sense?
Of course. But again, think spreadsheet plus project management.
Okay. Because right now, I mean, I use a whiteboard.
Right.
Yes. Yeah, take your whiteboard and say, how would I do that in Excel? And you can get a 30-day. Every single person that you invite gets 30 days free, all features.
Okay.
Because they want you to buy a Smartsheet, you know, for your kids, you know, Little League or something, and really think it's cool. So you have 30 days to play with it to your heart's content. At the end of 30 days, if you don't buy it, you become just a free user, and all you can see are sheets that have been shared with you.
Okay.
So if I have a sheet, I think Seth and I are, there's a bunch of people sharing that ABBO's sheet.
Yep, I can bring that up.
Or workspace, excuse me. Unfortunately, you share by workspace, not by sheet. So if you put a sheet in a workspace that you don't want somebody to see, you've got to make a new workspace.
Right. So, or if you want to do something private, then you have to do it outside of the workspace and just do it in a folder up here in the Sheets area.
Yeah.
So if I'm on Smartsheets, we could all be sharing our stuff together?
Yeah.
Yep. You create a workspace and you decide who that workspace is shared with, but then, like Sarah said, as soon as you do that, anything you put into that workspace is shared with all the people who that workspace is shared with. In other words, you can't be specific and say, this person has access to this sheet and another person has access to this other one, but they both don't have access to both. So if you want to be sort of exclusive like that, then you can't use the workspace. You have to just use these folders here. And, you know, in theory, you can create a folder for each client, and then within that folder, you can be specific project by project about who has access to what.
Okay.
I'll invite you to the ABBO if you'd like.
Yes, I would. Thank you. I always like to be part of groups that will happen.
We've been putting sample sheets in there.
Yeah, I've got them on my screen here.
Oh, well, you want to invite her? Either way.
Can I invite her? Sharing. We got a lot of people in here.
I know. Well, I think I beat you.
Deborah, what email address should I use?
ESFS Deb. B like boy.
Edward, Sam, Frank, Sam.
No, boy, Sam, Frank, Sam.
Boy, Sam, Frank, Sam.
E like dog, E like echo, B like boy, at gmail.com. Boy, Deb, D-E-B, at gmail.com.
I don't think,
Now, do I have to sign up for Smartsheet to be able to see this, or am I automatically? Okay.
No, you can. There's a free account, but I'll warn you, you will get emails from them, and they will be looking for you to eventually upgrade to a paid plan.
Okay. I don't mind paying if I'll use it. You know, that's the only thing.
Yeah. No, and I took a plan that's a little more expensive because there's also a limit on the number of projects you can have based on which plan you take. So, like mine, I think now I can have up to 150 different sheets or projects or something. So that's a consideration too. So just if you do eventually go to sign up, just double check all the options in terms of what you can do and what the limitations are, so you get the right plan. But I haven't hit any limitations yet, and you know the $500 or let's just call it $600 a year that I'm paying is broken down $60 a month. Like Dennis points out in the chat, you know, if it's going to save you time, which is money, and energy, because you're using something that makes your life easier, then yeah, of course it's worth the money.
Absolutely. The problem is taking the time and the energy to learn it.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I love it, because it's just so intuitive. If you know Excel, you can get going.
Oh, I'm a wizard. Excel is swell.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what somebody asked me recently, Sarah, and I don't think you can do this here, but maybe you've discovered that you can, so I'm going to ask you. You
Okay.
can't do anything like a pivot table with Smartsheet, can you?
Nah.
Yeah.
You know what? I haven't really played with the reporting where not really a pivot table idea, but you can actually make reports that go get different information, and I got lost and I stopped using it.
Yeah, it's easy to do.
Well, it's just that was one of the things that wasn't real intuitive to me, and I haven't had time to play with it. But it saved a client for me. It really did, because I had an employee of a client who was asking tons of questions, and then she and one of my bookkeepers they don't like each other, and they were getting a little curt with each other, and then management was being pulled into it, and everything's buried in emails. So I really didn't get in on it until I was notified, and then when it escalated. But then I got into her emails, and I'm like, whoa, they're right. Watch your tone here. She said, well, look at her tone, and I'm like, oh no, we're not doing this. So now we keep everything in Smartsheets. The conversations are Smartsheets, and whether we're looking at the conversations or not, everybody knows that management, we can all see what's going on, and all those nitpicky little tasks that don't get done that are still in pending, I can look at it and go, I know that you only have so many hours in the day, and I know you hate to do this, but this has been on your to-do list for 90 days. Come on. So as a manager, I can step back and keep up with, things. And we just started taking our checklist.
How do you populate those task lists with what needs to be done in the emails? Does it do that automatically?
No, I wish. That's why. What were you just showing me, Seth? Where linking to emails is a big problem, because they'll get a notification. And if they don't pop into Smartsheets and talk on the discussion there and just respond with an email, then it defeats the purpose of using the program.
Yeah.
Well,
That's natural to people. They just click on respond. So you have to train them, don't respond an email. Click on the sheet.
That's the problem, because all these project management applications do, you get the email notifications. The whole idea, though, is it keeps it out of your inbox, even though you get the notifications, so it doesn't seem so. Yeah. The reality is those are what I call throwaway emails. They're just notifications that let me know there's something to go into the project to do, and I can delete the email. The problem, though, is they all have the ability for you to hit reply, and it will go as a reply in the context of the project management software. And the problem with that is it muddies up the thread in the project management software with everybody's email signature information. And and in some cases, if they have like their social icons in their signature, which drives me crazy. I mean, at one time that was exciting, and I remember spending like 2 hours on my email signature to make it perfect. And now it's like simple, like here's my name, here's my phone number, here's my website, you know how to reach me, kind of thing.
You're talking about a solution that actually takes the email and puts it in the Asana or whatever the other solution is, because Smartsheets doesn't do that. You pretty much just pop into the conversation and talk.
Yeah, Smartsheet gives you an email with a notification with a green button that says log in, and you click and it takes you right into the context of what you're being notified about. So if it's a discussion, you have to click in, and to me that's smarter, because again, these other project management
it's not an email.
You can actually hit reply, and that reply will go into the project management software, but it makes a mess. It defeats the purpose, really, because now I have all the email signature garbage and the whole email thread in each reply, and it gets, again, it defeats the purpose, because now I've got all this stuff to sift through, and the whole idea is to eliminate all of that.
Right.
So
it's just training, whoever's using the Smartsheet to stay in the Smartsheet. And it date and time stamps everything. Like if somebody approves, I can make a sheet. Well, I showed this last week, but make a sheet with all the employees. They can put in the hours. They can attach a copy of the timesheets, and then management comes in and approves it. And I have a date and time stamp of when it was approved, and it protects me. And it has sped up our work. I can't tell you. And as a manager, to back up and watch what my staff's doing, it's just been a lifesaver. So
and
it's working right now. I like looking at all the other
One cool trick that I've used with Smartsheet, because it has that update request feature that you can schedule on a recurring basis until the person has gone in and made the update, is in the rare case where somebody actually owes me money, because in my business most people prepay, but I do have some clients that I will bill, and when they've gone late, I have a task or a project rather, in Smartsheet called accounts receivable tracking. And what I do is I'll take a PDF of the invoice and assign it to a line item and create an update request that emails the client every day, Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Basically,
That's
hey,
great.
this invoice is past due. Can you please let me know about payment? And so it annoys the heck out of them until they just have to go in and respond to it.
That is great. See, the trick is they give you tons and tons and tons of samples. So you can go into a sample, look at the formulas, look at the layout, and go and just look at how creative people have made up their sheets, and then take those concepts and apply them to your situation.
Hey, Sarah,
Yeah.
I've got a question.
Okay.
I'm looking on the Smartsheet website, and it says, like, it talks about sheets. Do you have, like, one sheet per client, or?
No, I have
can
one
you have
workspace per client, and they each have their own sheets.
So how many workspaces do you get with the basic plan? Is
All
that
unlimited.
Yeah, you can create all the workspaces are like special folders.
It's the sheets
Okay,
is where they get you.
Yeah.
So I started designing
so-
my sheets so they were reusable, or like once I get past a month, I can hide them or whatever. So you learn how not to have too many sheets, but I don't even know what I'm up
will
to.
happen?
Anyway, guys, on this note, I've got to run because I've actually got a session to jump into. But next week, we're going to look at all new project management applications. We're going to look at several that we've never looked at before. So we're going to stop with the ones we've been looking at and have all new ones to look at next week. I want to look at Podio. I want to look at 5 p.m. Web, and there's a few others. And like I said earlier, the idea here is to show you what's on the menu so that you can choose what's going to work best for you.
Yeah, see if you can find the video from last week, because
Yeah, no, I know Joanne has it, so I'll
Yeah.
get it. I'll watch it.
okay, cool.
All right.
Well, have a nice weekend.
See you later. Bye-bye.
Bye.